Thank you.
Well, interesting view on that side. Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Your name, sir?
Oh, I'm called Samuel.
Samuel, yes?
I'm calling from Amuria.
Oh, you're welcome.
I would like to ask the Ambassador Otunnu. Ambassador Otunnu, are you a realist or you're just a political activist? Because what I've discovered in you is that you're simply doing a lot of, political gymnastics. You are not a realist, you are an activist. After elections, like Honorable Sebalu has told you, the best you could have done was to sit down and do a SWOT analysis. Why are you doing all this? You think over 68% of Ugandans who voted for Museveni are mad? I mean, why do you want to go against the will of the people? Secondly, if you are aggrieved in any way, why don't you go to courts of law? The courts of law are there. They did that twice. And he lost, that is what I expected of a diplomat like Honorable Olara Otunnu. Now, for you to begin masquerading on the streets of Kampala and you think you will gain fame, I think Ugandans know what they want and they will continue supporting NRM and President Museveni. Now, as for you, you will continue, getting you
Right away to our next caller. Thank you, Sam from Amoria, all the way from Amoria.
Edmond.
Yes, your name?
Good evening to you. Thanks for your guests in the studio.
Your name?
The name.
Your name, sir?
Very briefly, Jim is the name. Now, Mr. Otunnu, Ambassador Otunnu, I want to thank you for the effort, but I want you to learn about the body fabric of Ugandans. We are mainly timid. We have got a self-level of confidence. We think we are okay, and we don't want to hurt our lives. Yet we desire change. That one is for sure. Secondly, I want to inform Mr. Sebalu that Stalin, the great Russian, told us that the person who counts the votes is more important than the person who casts the vote. So in this particular case, I think that what Olara Otunnu is talking about is very valid. NSN Uganda knows that the gymnastics played behind the electoral commission are not anywhere to give us a fair and credible election. Have a good evening.
All right. Okay, our next caller, Spectrum. Hello.
Hello.
Your name, sir?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Olaro.
Good evening.
And Ben Sebalu.
Good evening, sir.
Oh, good evening, Katuram from Entebbe.
Your name again?
Katuram from Entebbe.
Okay.
Katuram from Entebbe.
Katuram.
Yeah. I'm NRM supporter, but Entebbe was won by DP. Okay? And we never got even a single vote for Olara Otunnu. And I'm thanking the DP people. Some of them I'm teaching with them. Then I've got LC3 councillors. I thank them because they are younger people. But we are not thinking to go ahead to the problem we saw behind. Those are backwards. Let's forge ahead. Olara Otunnu, please. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Katuram in Entebbe. Spectrum, hello. Hello? Okay, our next caller, your name, sir? Yes, your name?
I'm Kuma George, MP elect for Bukedia. I want to greet the Ambassador Otunnu, then the NRM supporter who's there. But I want to tell the Ambassador that I think he's out of reality. In Bukedia, where your national advisor comes from, you did not win a single seat, even at a local level. And the elections were transparent. They were free and fair. So when you begin calling people for demonstrations in Kampala, and yet you're not gathering any support in that country, then, Mr. Ambassador, I'm worried you may not achieve your objective. I thank you very much.
We'll take our final caller for tonight. Spectrum, hello? Yes, your name?
Hello?
Hello, your name, madam?
My name is Anne.
Anne, can you switch off your radio, walk away from
Okay. My name is Anne. I'm just calling to comment about what Dr. Otunnu is saying. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. You're live on air.
Yes, yeah, thanks. My issue really is, I agree with what some of the previous callers have said, but my issue with Dr. Otunnu is one thing. You can't come and tell us all these things when on election day itself, you didn't show up to even vote for yourself. Now, what type of Ugandan, what type of example did you show to the rest of us? Yes, the electoral system has issues, may have issues, but to be honest with you, for you not to come out and cast your own vote, and your own team had no idea where you are, because they kept asking them, we were listening to the radio the whole day, they kept asking them, where is Dr. Otunnu? They had no idea where you are. The least you could have done is at least inform them that I'm not going to vote because this is how I feel about ABCD. So, to be honest with you, in my eyes, personally, you lost all credibility. And this is an open-minded Ugandan who is quite disgruntled with a number of things happening. But your approach is just totally out of this world, to be honest with you. It's just totally not right. Thank you.
Okay. We'll get back to this. Ambassador Otunnu, you have most of the questions were directed at you.
Well, first of all, with regard to my own vote, I wanted very much to vote. I looked forward very much to vote. But in the end, when it became very clear that this exercise was a complete sham, the results were pre-cooked, Ugandans were being abused, and that many Ugandans were excluded from voting, and those who voted, their votes did not count, I decided to use my own vote for two purposes. One is to express solidarity with those who were not allowed to vote because their names were crossed out. They were given the runaround. You cannot vote here, go to that station, go to the other station. Secondly, to show my solidarity with Ugandans who actually voted, but whose votes were abused, whose votes were not respected, whose verdicts were not recognized by the Electoral Commission. So I chose to do that to expose to the world that this exercise was a sham and that the Ugandans have been denied the opportunity to shape their own destiny. That was the reason why, and my team knew exactly where I was and what I was doing, and I immediately informed Ugandans the reasons why I did not vote. I was very straightforward about it from day one. And Ugandans know that from the very beginning, I had very clear views which have been consistent about free and fair elections, about the Electoral Commission, about the voter registry, being consistent during the campaign, before the campaign, in the middle of the elections, and the day after the elections. I have not changed my position on this whatsoever. The newly elected MP from Bukedea, he could not be more wrong. Up country in Uganda, some of the worst frauds were committed up country. There are parts of Uganda where simply no elections took place, where you had massive pre-taking, like in Lamour in eastern, actually in the Kidgum area, pre-taking done in Sudan, a place we know. For days they did.
Oh, really?
Pre-taking. Absolutely. In Chua, the pre-taking was done in Karamoja. All the elections agents were dispersed from the polling stations. There are places up country, Legion in Karamoja, the violence that was used in all parts of Karamoja, in West Nile. It's completely untrue to say that up-country people are happy. Indeed, we have had to quiet the tempers of people up-country, saying, hold on for now, we are consulting. We will not let this stand. We're going to challenge this situation. We don't accept the results, but do not take matters into your hands before we consult and before we work out how to move forward. It's not true at all what the gentleman in upcountry in Bukedea is reporting. Right. Then the issue of how many votes the opposition leaders got. But the whole point of these sham elections, that because of the pre-taking, because of the ballot stuffing, because of the ghost voters, because of those who are excluded from the register of votes of voters, that is why the figures being given out by the Museveni Chigundu Electoral Commission has no meaning. That is what we are contesting. That is what is the heart of the sham nature of this exercise. So to throw at us and say, but look at these figures which came out, how many votes you got here or didn't get there. That's the whole point of our contestation with the Electoral Commission and with Museveni. Now, concerning the what is realistic and what is not, you see, everywhere in the world, when you say enough is enough, at first you'll be called unrealistic. That's what the people in Tunisia were called. When they said to a president who had just declared himself elected by 97% of the vote, that's what the Egyptians, when they first went to the square, were told. That's what the people in the Philippines were first told when they challenged Marcos. That is what in Serbia when they challenged Milosevic. And then the people gain confidence. And then the people say, this really is our country. We've had enough. We cannot accept this anymore. And we see a complete turning of the tide in Serbia, in the Philippines, in Egypt, in Tunisia, right now as we speak, in Libya. These are places where the regimes were so entrenched, they seem absolutely immovable, and where the presidents, exactly like Museveni is doing today, sent out a complete avalanche of military people to close down markets, to intimidate the demonstrators, to say we shall do this, we shall do the other. When the people have made a choice to say enough is enough, no amount of guns, the Chiboko squad, the crime preventers, the cars, the heavy, ugly trucks just brought from China, no amount of any of those hardware, not the Presidential Guard Brigade, none of those things can in the end defeat the people who have said no. Enough is enough. This is our country. We take back our country.
In the interest of time, we'll have to move on. Honorable Sebalu.
Yes.
You seem to agree with him, so we can close the discussion.
No, I definitely don't agree with him. I'm also on the issue of a presidential candidate who doesn't turn out to vote and gives the kind of reasons he's giving. Then he goes out to say that people are defranchised, and yet he de-enfranchised himself by not voting. And definitely in terms of example, that was definitely not a good example of a leader in terms of engagement.
Right.
And many people really got disappointed, including myself, because
No
at least
doubt.
I thought that you'd have that responsibility, civic responsibility, to take a decision. You see, when you don't participate in a decision, you have to accept the leader that is chosen for you. And exactly what Ugandans did, in view of the fact that you didn't vote for a leader for Uganda, the Ugandans voted for you, President Museveni, who is going to lead you and the rest of us, because he got the people's support.
Right.
Now, regarding the Tunisia-Egyptian example, that is definitely inapplicable in the context of Uganda. Uganda's NRM support base is people-based. You know, NRM is enjoying the support of the people.
Word for word, those are what the presidents of Tunisia, Serbia, and the others have said.
In Uganda, the political space is there. We are here engaging very freely. People
Not today
out there
in the streets of
engaging,
Kampala.
and so the political space is there. Human rights are observed. People are free to express their political divergent views, and they don't have any problem.
Okay.
So the situation, the operative situation in Uganda is not conducive for that kind of an uprising. And whoever has a lot of hope in that will end up being very, very disappointed, because the subjective conditions simply don't allow that to happen.
We have to end here. Honorable Mike Sebalu, thank you very much indeed. Two diplomats in the studio. Honorable Mike Sebalu is a regional diplomat from the East African Legislative Assembly. He also doubles as a member of the NEC, the NRM Supreme Organ. We also had Ambassador Dr. Olara Otunnu, veteran UN diplomat. He stayed there about 25 years. He's UPC president and former presidential candidate. How did you stay at the UN for 25 years? Did you have term? There were no term limits there.
You asked Museveni. He's the one who is responsible for my being out of Uganda for 24 years. 24 years.
You didn't ask have term limits removed so you can stay for long or what?
No, I wasn't in the UN all the 24 years. I was a professor of law in the US, and I was professor of international relations in France.
Right.
Then I practiced as a lawyer, and then I was the head of a major think tank called International Peace Institute. So I did various things during that time. It was not just the United Nations.
But you see, his being out was a choice. He chose to be there, and when he chose to come back, he came back, and he's happily enjoying his homeland. So the element of choice is something you cannot rule out here.
Thank you. We end here tonight.
That was an imposition by Mr. Museveni.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, our guests. Thank you for tuning in, listeners. Others called in all the way from Amoria. Some called in from Amoria. Thank you. My name is Edmond. I've been your host. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Right now, you can hear the news in English, and thereafter Soul Train. Do stay tuned to Radio 1.
The art of crafting a masterpiece.
We are proud to offer you Nile Gold Crystal Malt Lager, made from the finest